This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Here he is, folks. Jeff Kolpack joins us on this Monday morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Happy post-Thanksgiving, and welcome to December, which is now turned into quite the busy week with the elevation up of National Signing Day to this coming Wednesday, 2 weeks earlier than normal. Makes things a bit juicy this week.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yep. With a football game to normally NDSU's had to tap dance. This may be a semifinal game. Last year was after Tim Polisic got hired on Monday. Signing day was 2 days later. Now it's smack dab. I mean, there are coaches openings all over the place, both in FBS and FCS. This is going to be a wild few days coming up here.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going to have to go down this week.
Yep.
And I saw where UND is closing its job on December 6th. So 1 week.
Yep.
They must have some people in mind.
Correct. That's and we did this dance last year when Matt Larson was looking to hire the next football coach, and that was we found out on what was Monday. It was 6 days later they had their football coach.
Remember those days, and maybe you don't, this is probably predates you, but when the Bison, say when Rocky Hager left, and they'd post the job.
Yeah.
And so I'd go down to the NDSU president's office, to the HR, and say, okay, I'd like to see the list of applicants.
Yeah.
And you go through the applicants. It'd be like some high school, junior college JV coach,
Yeah.
you know, all these people would apply. Just such a waste of time for them to do so, but they did. And so I had to go sift through and go, okay, here's who I think are the top applicants. God, think about those days.
Yeah.
That is so far removed on how things work now.
Prior to Bubba getting the job, we had the infamous Chuck the Pigskin guy who
Oh, yeah.
applied for the job at UND.
I think he applied at NDSU, too.
That got national attention on that. I don't think they're going to go that route, but we'll see.
And it was
out.
by law. I mean,
Yes.
that's what you had to
Correct.
post it for 2
Yep.
weeks. And usually the person who got the job would mysteriously send in the application 10 minutes before they were named.
In that window,
Yeah.
yes, before it happened. We now know who the Buys are going to play. We'll get to the UND stuff in a little bit. In the second round of the tournament, Abilene Christian is going to come here. I would say newish Division I school. They've been around for about 11 years. They were a great NAIA team. They won a couple of national championships there. Pretty solid in Division II. They've been working their way up the food chain here. They've played some pretty tough opponents. This is a game from earlier this season when they where they lost to Idaho in a close game that came right down to the wire. I am intrigued about what this team has athletically. I don't know if we're going to see them at 100%, Jeff, because their quarterback has not played in a week and a half, and one of their top running backs did not play this past week.
Yeah, mum's the word, apparently,
Yeah.
out of Abilene. So I don't know if we'll find out this week if his presser, the head coach's presser is
Keith
today.
Patterson, yep.
We believe, but he hasn't said much up to now on why would he change. But it's a lot of transfers, a lot of transfers like you'd expect at this level. There are. Do you know how many Division I playing football schools there are in Texas?
Oh gosh, we've done this game. This was maybe prior to Abilene and Tarleton moving up.
22.
I was going to say 20.
22.
Okay.
22. So
I
you
had
got
20. So before Abilene and Tarleton moved
and
up.
you talk about the food chain. You got to find your place at the table, and it's kind of hard when there's 22 Division I, and I believe there are 10 FCS schools. I mean, that's a lot of competition.
Well, I mean, just in FCS alone, you're fighting like Stephen F. is an FCS school. Houston Christian is a new FCS team, Houston Baptist, but they're in that mix. Not to mention
most are in the central to eastern part of the state. Abilene
Correct.
is on as far as FCS is one of the most western based, and that's just not too far from Dallas. So, but 45 miles or something.
I'd say we're Texas experts after
Right.
how often we've gone down there. But
no.
I'm interested in how they will hold up defensively. They didn't have any issues with Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona was not a quality football team. I know we hemmed and hawed out on them getting in the tournament when we did our bracketology show a week ago Saturday. They proved that they probably did not belong in the 2014 field.
Well, Abilene was going into that game 96 in the FCS in scoring defense. Gave up over 440 yards a game or something like that. I can't remember where that stat ranked. And then they shut out Northern Arizona. It almost defies laws of FCS common sense.
A little bit. I mean, NAU had, I think, 4 plays on the ACU side of the field. I mean, that was about as dominant as a
and they
performance
look legitimately pretty decent athletically too.
Yep. They have guys that have played. I mean, McIver, their quarterback, who I hope we get to see. He came up to Grand Forks. They played UND 2 years ago. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He throws his share of picks. But this guy can spin it, Jeff. He threw for 500 yards against Texas Tech, his old school, in the first game of the season this year, where they almost won. They lost in overtime in that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure that backup has what it takes to, Merle Haggard's kid. I was just joking.
It's not his kid.
Okay.
Has the same last name, but it's not his kid.
But I don't know if he has what would take to beat the Bison in the Dome. Even if there's 13,000 fans, it still makes a difference. You can still get some noise going in there. And I would expect a crowd probably in that range.
Probably. I don't think, granted, it's a new opponent, but I don't think it's necessarily going to get the masses fired up. I think for the fans, they're looking ahead for 2 weeks. If everything stays on course, they're like, well, we'll come for the Jackrabbit game, and then if we get to go to Frisco, then we'll go. That's I believe, was the mindset around for fans right now. I'd be really curious if that would change.
It's the post-pandemic mindset now after so many teams have moved up. And this is what you get.
I think it's the post just NDSU blowing everybody out from 2017 on. We saw that. The first cracks in the armor on this was 2017. They played San Diego in the second round. It was the second year in a row they were playing San Diego. And I noticed up in the student section, wow, there's empty seats there. I don't remember that ever happening. And it's only been more and more so over the now 7 years ever since then that's been the case. And the marketing department has their work cut out for them. And Polisic was out. We showed the video last week. I don't know if you saw it. It was right before Thanksgiving. He was handing out tickets to students. It was great. I mean, I texted with Tim about it after it came out, and it was a great idea by the marketing department. Get out there, actually interact with them. He was asking them who's their favorite player, how many games have you gone to this season. That's what they need. This is the video. Thanks, Eric. From last week, he's going out there and interacting with the kids about. Yeah.
Congrats, man. We'll see you guys there. Yeah. Thank you so much.
This is
Who's your
perfect.
favorite all-time player?
All-time? Brock Jensen.
Brock Johnson. So, you know what? We're from the same county.
See? Never going to miss that.
Yeah.
2 years.
The SDSU game.
SDSU game this year.
Can you get Marty 20 touches on?
We're going to get them all 20 touches.
Getting coaching advice as well.
Who's your favorite player? Finn Diggins. The whole crew? And Duty. There you go, guys.
Is he at the Union?
Swing easy, hit hard.
Correct.
Okay, who's your favorite player? Yep. Cam Miller, okay. That's a good answer. Who's your favorite player? Luke Bacon. Okay, Luke Bacon.
Luke Bacon reference. Isn't that good?
Freshman first year. How many games you missed? 0. There you go. That's the winning answer right there. St. Michael. Okay, you know who the head football coach is there? Jared Essler. Jared Essler was a 2-time All-American here in 2 sports. Did you know that? Track and football. Yeah. Okay, how many games you been at?
All of them.
All of them. You're in.
I missed once I work.
Where you work? Okay, well, that's good answer. We're going to support the golf team. I love it. Where are you from?
Elk River, Minnesota.
Elk River. They just won the state title.
Yeah.
2 out of the last 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, coach.
He knows his stuff.
Good luck to you.
He
man.
has
I appreciate
to.
the support. We'll give Billy a shout out. That's awesome. Remember, we're going to try to play with 12 now in this game. You guys got to be loud, okay? Yeah. Be inspiring for the guys. Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
So they're using that hashtag of play with 12 is to embrace, obviously, having the 12th man be a factor and be like it was when Polisic was in his first tenure here.
So he was at the bookstore handing those out. He should have told the kids to go in there and get my pretzel book to get some really intelligent reading done.
I think we're asking a bit much on that, but that's what they need. Go out and interact. It's been lacking. If you want to get people in the seats, you want to get people excited about the playoffs, that right there will do it.
What's the old theory? Win customers one at a time.
Correct.
Right? That's
Absolutely.
win customers one at a time.
I think you can't go wrong on that, especially for this game. If they win next week, it's going to be an opponent that's not going to get anybody fired up there. Either it's Rhode Island or Mercer. You're going to need that kind of energy before you get to, if you make it that far, to play up a South Dakota State. You saw it. Attendances weren't great. Obviously, Thanksgiving weekend is a no-go. The Bison experienced that firsthand last year. I don't think it's going to be any great shakes this weekend for most teams.
What do students have to do at 2 o'clock on a Saturday anyway?
Studying?
I don't know. It's
Right?
a Saturday.
Yeah. Got to go to school. Hey, I needed every minute. I needed every minute to study for the 5 years at the State University of New York on Oswego. I needed everything.
Not me. When it came to econ, I just punted.
Yes.
Punt.
Yeah. Well, you did the Art Vandelay way of going from an architect to that.
Yeah.
I am intrigued, though, on how the Bison come out of the bye. They're relatively healthy. We'll see if Cole Wisniewski plays. We're going to find out with Tim Polasek tomorrow.
Maybe not.
We'll ask. I don't know if we're going to get an answer on that particular question, and see what the end of the season did to this football team. I'm really intrigued how it ended in Vermilion to now how they come out and play against Abilene Christian.
Yeah, well, okay, there's also two schools of thought. Do you want to play right away to bury those bitter feelings of that defeat?
Yep.
Or do you take a week and get over it?
Yeah, I would say
That's
personally,
the playoffs.
I would think they would have liked to have gone out and played Sunday,
Yes.
personally, to
Right.
go out and see how the game went. Obviously, they didn't, and now got another week to refresh, and it ended up being, they got the 2 seed. So now they have a chance. They can go to Frisco if they win all their home games.
This team registering a shutout on a Big Sky team should get their attention.
Absolutely. And if their quarterback plays, he will get their attention as well. He will be in the mix. It's not Shedeur Sanders. It's not Gronowski. It's not Bauman or Clark. He's in that mix, though. He's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, again.
He's probably better than Jacob Clark. I would say that. I'd go that far.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen a whole lot of highlight. I was hoping to see him last week. But this is not Valpo coming up for the playoffs.
It is not. Nope. It's not a non-scholarship team. And granted, Drake gave Tarleton a game. I told you they would for a bit before they faded down the stretch in that one. I will say, we talked about this with Sam in the first hour. CAA is done getting multiple bids.
I was about to say that.
Done.
Yeah.
They got 4. And granted, nobody got a bye, so the committee punished them for that. But they were bad. Ooh. They were bad this weekend.
New Hampshire, bow wow.
Yeah,
not even
run off the field.
Yeah.
At home, they got destroyed by Tennessee Martin, who got in. Central Connecticut State nearly beat Rhode Island.
Should have beat them.
Not good. And Richmond did lose to the Mountain Hawks of Lehigh, who now get a chance to go to Idaho.
Yeah, we just got to get rid of that CAA mindset.
It's not that anymore.
That
it's
we sort of grew up in these playoffs with.
Correct. It's not that, because James Madison's gone. Delaware's now gone. Richmond's gone. It's not that league anymore. Villanova's done nothing. In the time we
always
paid attention.
overrated. I feel like they're always overrated.
They get it in the top 10, and then they won't beat
then
the
they'll
Word.
Lose
they won't lose. They'll lose to the Word this week. Last thing before I want to set our second segment on Bubba and UND and that kind of stuff. Signing day is on Wednesday. We're going to have our big signing day spectacular here, 9 to 11. Looking forward to that. We've done that every year for 14, 15 years. I've already seen a handful of Bison commits tweet out that they plan on signing some big ones as well. Brody Clubb, young man from Iowa, big defensive end. Money Mitchell, running back out of Illinois, great nickname already. Elijah Wayne, who we had on the show last week, who flipped. They have as many 3-star guys, and you can say whatever you want about rankings, but the Bison have as many 3-star guys as I can remember in a long time in this class.
You would know. That's saying something.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive on that. On the flip side, the portal opens on Monday. Doesn't mean you can't announce it. I'm intrigued to see if there's anybody of stature going to put their name in the portal between now and then.
I do believe the collective made a difference
and they're
last
having a big deal tonight.
Yes, they are.
Bartley's getting everybody together tonight, kind of wrangling the troops together, much like they did this time last year when Tim Miles was in town.
Yeah.
So does it keep guys here? I think everyone's looking at a guy like Marty Brown. Marty Brown had a dynamite year. Those kind of flash years who could win the Rice Award. What kind of attention and what could he be thrown at money-wise over the next month. That's going to be tough to fend off,
well,
right?
It's, the collective made a difference except for Eli Green.
Yep.
And that was a late departure.
And that can't happen anymore. I'll throw that out there now. The window is just 30 days. It is now until the early January window. That's it. There's no spring one anymore. It's this 30 days for football. So, frankly, you'll know your roster. Football coaches got to be excited about this. Probably by January 20th, you'll know what your 2025 roster is going to be.
Yeah, for the most part. And I think that's a positive with all this legislation. It had to start going the other way. At some point, there's got to be some sort of control on this.
Well,
I like to see it as a salary cap. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
But
well, then you got to make them employees if you're going to do that.
Aren't they employees now?
They're not, and under the letter of the law, they're not. But that would be the first step.
Well,
yes, I know, but yes, correct. Under the letter of the law, they're not. But we're heading in that.
And this came
direction.
up. So, Stanford hires Andrew Luck as a GM.
Yep.
How long till everybody hires a GM? NDSU hire a GM.
If they're in the Mountain West, they will. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do that. I'll be in. The calendar had to move. Last year was the perfect cocktail, and Matt Entz told me that. The portal is open and signing days this late. It's just a recipe for combustible, and it was. We saw it for either guys flipping, either guys leaving, or not signing altogether. It was mayhem. That's now different with signing day being moved up.
Boy, Tim Paulsek, when the phone rings on Monday night from some recruit somewhere, you just got to be going, oh, my goodness.
Yep. It's going to be now until
But then you better be ready to go on
Wednesday.
the horn with somebody else.
Correct. And granted, let me tell you something. Just because they verbally committed does not mean anything. Anything.
Well, I disagree. I think it means something. I mean,
it does to some. I would say others, nah. Come on. What can you offer me? This day and age? Absolutely. Let's break. We come back. We'll chat on the UND opening that's now here, how it affects the Bison and the Missouri Valley Football Conference. We'll discuss that. Back with Kolpack as we roll on this Monday morning right after this. Oh, a little breaking news here as we come back. Maybe the answer to our question on the future of Bison All-American safety Cole Wisniewski. This is from the Feral Portal Twitter account, which tweets this out regularly. Has Cole Wisniewski's name there, saying he entered the portal as a grad transfer. The All-American total 194 tackles, 5.5 for loss, 8 interceptions, and 15 pass deflections during his time with the Bison. So if this is accurate, and I would not doubt the legitimacy of this guy. This guy's pretty good with that. That would put to bed the question of what we talked about in the first segment.
Well, maybe it's time. There. I mean, let's make a decision here as far as if you're the staff and the NDSU, and can you keep hanging on? What, is he going to play? Is he not? Well, now you know.
Right.
Clean slate for the playoffs. It's donezo.
So
if this is accurate.
Yeah. And that, again, Tim had brought this up 2 or 3 weeks ago at a press conference on a Tuesday about that intensive purposes that Cole was going to return for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he couched it saying at this time that he believed that he was going to be coming back for next football season.
Yeah, we don't know. What I mean, maybe somebody came with a pretty good offer.
We know what happened last year.
Yeah.
We know it did. We know there was a large sum of money put in his – he told us Notre Dame was out there. He wouldn't give us the number. He was right here in this where you're sitting last January telling us about the sums of money that were thrown at him last year. Now, granted, he hasn't played a down of football this year. He's going off his tape of 2023 that will there'll be suitors, Jeff. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I just sense that NDSU is getting a little frustrated on, are you going to play or not?
Yeah.
Are you ready or not? I think he's cleared to play, I think. Or at least he's really close. But what is that?
Yeah. And that's the thing that you'll just you asked me about this during the fall. Doesn't he need to play to get, if he's going to go, to have something on tape?
This is clearly, it says he's going to play another year of college football. Yep. And that was the advice that Tim got from the people he knows in the professional circles, NFL circles, that they need to see more tape on this guy.
Yep. So, again, this account on Twitter reporting that Wisniewski has entered the portal as a grad transfer. Again, he has a year of eligibility left because of the COVID year of 2020 that didn't count. and he's redshirted this season, so he'll get another year of eligibility to play. It looks like somewhere else.
And then after this, are we done with the COVID years? Pretty close.
25 will be our last year of it.
For the most part. There
I would
could be
say,
some hardship cases.
Correct.
Right.
There'll be some guys out there, they'll be in their 6th or maybe 7th year of college football, but 2025, we can pretty much take a victory lap saying that's probably done of 6-year guys of playing college football. So how this affects the Bison going forward, I mean, I don't, how much were they putting stock in him coming back and playing? That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if they were waiting on number 31 to parachute in and save them on the back end of their defense. I think that's misleading.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And especially when you've gone all year with what you have.
Right. Yep. I think that's probably I don't think they were counting on it. It would be a nice bonus to have.
I wonder if it was the other way, like make a decision.
Yeah. Could have been.
Yeah.
Another question for tomorrow
right.
for the head football coach when he has his weekly press conference. He's going to be a busy man, as we mentioned. I wanted to get in real quick. We have Tom Miller coming up who's going to give us the lowdown on Bubba Schweigert and UND. I think this was in the offing. It was pretty quiet last week. Bubba gave a season-ending press conference, which I thought was odd to begin with, knowing there was something perhaps in the wind, Jeff. But Bubba Schweigert is done after 11 years.
Yeah,
at UND.
he just seemed tired to me. I think if I were, it's just a gut feeling. I obviously don't cover him on a daily basis, but he just seemed kind of tired, to me. I just, I go. My first job was in Jamestown at the Jamestown Sun. I was there for less than a year, but I covered Jamestown College football. And my first assignment with Jamestown College on a game was a game at Montana Tech in Butte, Montana. And I rode the van. I think Bubba drove. The ungodly number of hours out there. And back. I remember getting back into Jamestown like at 6 a.m. Half when somebody drove all that way.
Yeah. Where do they go now? That's the intriguing part.
Where do they go?
They stay in-house? Do they hire somebody with UND ties? Do they go completely outside of the UND strategy?
I think you got to go outside, don't you, Tom? At some point, it's time for a new look. It's time for somebody who, isn't so wrapped up that you can't make this Bison game the biggest thing ever. They got to stop that.
Yep.
It's a big game. It's big. But you can't just throw everything at it and just.
So are the other Dakota school games. They're pretty big too. South Dakota State and South Dakota are big games.
Well, they kill NDSU, then go down to Northern Iowa and don't even show up.
Correct. Yep.
You lose at Indiana State this year. You cannot have that mindset.
Yep.
And so bring somebody in who, yes, this is a big game, but there are 10 other big games too that matter.
Yeah. They reached the ceiling of what they could do there because I said it off the top of the show. The last 16 months after they blew out the Bison, the programs have gone completely opposite directions. UND fizzled down the stretch and struggled most of 2024. The Bison ascended, frankly, after that loss in Grand Forks and had a pretty darn good year this year, winning 10 football games with a new football coach. The thing that got me, they were seeded that year. They won the Big Sky. Right? They were the 7th seed. They had Richmond, had a 2-touchdown lead, and they lost that game. And they weren't able to get over the hump after that. They got that one playoff win in the weird spring year, and that was it.
Nope, it's time. I like to see them go outside.
They got the facilities, man. That indoor is good. They support football. There's not many. How many FCS teams actually support, monetarily?
Yeah,
FCS
the facility is indoor. You are poised. You want somebody to come in here and say, we can win an FCS title. We have the facilities here. We can do this. There's not that many teams in FCS built like that, capable of winning. NDSU went outside the box in 2002 and hired Craig Bull at the start of 2003.
Right.
The easy hire would have been Gus Bradley. Gene Taylor went outside, got a guy with more Division I experience, and look what it did after eventually a couple down years there, but it paid off.
The thing is, whoever the next football coach is, has to start beating NDSU on a semi-regular basis for kids around here. It has not happened. It just hasn't, Jeff. I can count on one hand the amount of guys UND beat NDSU head-to-head to get it in this immediate era. I'm talking Fargo-Moorhead. I'm talking North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Yep. It's not happened. That's, if you want to start having a conversation about it, you gotta start doing that.
Yep.
And I don't know how they do that. Being that you need I think an energetic younger coach to go and do that. We'll find out.
Chris Kleiman had no ties to NDSU when they hired him.
No.
The elevation of Matt Entz was an NDSU tie, but that can't be your priority is have a tie.
No, I agree. With that. Good to see it. We'll
You
do
too.
our Bison video blog coming up here in just a little bit. Preview the game coming up on Saturday. Again, the news coming out here, according to Farrell Portal, that Cole Wisniewski has put his name into the transfer portal, the All-American safety from last year. Apparently looks like he's done playing football at NDSU. Waiting for confirmation on that. We'll break. We come back. Tom Miller will join us, give us the load on how everything played out in Grand Forks and what they do next for their new football coach. Hot Mike continues on a busy Overreaction Monday. We're back after this.